It's good to have you join us on Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, that is TOS Television. And as always, I am Merciful Aljinamo. Joining me on the studio this time is Adebayo Fajimi. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a couple of stories right now on front pages of the Nigerian dailies. And let's begin from the banner headline on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And of course, that's talking about the Anambra polls. IPOB cancels sit-at-home order. Two riders, the first, Uba Ozigbo Soludo, others signed peace accord. The second rider is IGP restrict vehicular movement, and that can be found on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. What do you make of this story, seeing that we're just a couple of hours to the Anambra State gubernatorial election?
Yeah, well, it's a welcome development, and it's a good decision, on the side of IPOB, not reversing the trend that might be going on in the mind of people to go out tomorrow to exercise their franchise. So it's a good thing because the order that has been, put in place, no matter how, there is a way it's going to affect, some certain people because they will want to be, because they will not know what's going to be the outcome if they go out, while we have some that would defy the order. So it's a good thing on the side of IPOB, revoking the statement and, telling people to go out tomorrow, to cast their ballot. It's a welcome development.
All right, so that particular story can be found on Nigerian Tribune on page 3. Just underneath that story there, we see Oyo APC crisis. Stakeholders get 1 week to harmonize positions. That can be found on page 28. And then on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune, protest as policemen allegedly stabbed tricyclist to death over bribe in Lagos. Underneath the picture of the day there, we see some headlines there. 2022 budget, federal government to partner state for food security, promote financial inclusion. And that can be found on page 5. Two riders to fast track recapitalization of Bank of Agriculture, NAIC, and then proposes 291.416 billion naira for agricultural sector. And then we see Britain approves world first COVID-19 pill. That can be found on page 5. We see something on education. ASU gives federal government 48 hours to rescue victims of Uni Abuja kidnap. That can be found on page 29. The top story right there is talking about the Ikoyi building collapse. Lagos declares 3-day mourning, flags to fly at half-mast, body of developer found. And we can get out on page 26. We move over to the Guardian newspaper. The banner headline right there is IPOB cancels sit at home, ask Anambrians to vote tomorrow. A couple of riders, security concerns heighten as gunmen killed 6 policemen, 48 hours to election. Then see Southeast governors, criminals using IPOB's name to kill innocent citizens. Governorship candidates sign peace agreement. IGP orders restriction of vehicular movement. CDD warns security agencies against violation of voters' rights. Blanca Wright's late husband Ojukwu asks him to hold Obiano responsible if ABGA fails to win. There are sub-stories on the top right there. Pakistani government petitioned over activities of embassy in Nigeria. We can get our story on page 3 of The Guardian. 3,795 teachers killed, 1,500 schools touched in Bay State, says NEDC. Government moves to implement Orosanye report on rationalization of federal agencies. We can get that on page 3 of The Guardian newspaper. Let's quickly go over to the Punch newspaper. Of course, we're talking about the Ikoyi building. Developer friends' corpses recovered. Death toll hits 40. Families lament delay in identifying corpses. Conflicting casualty figures. We see Sanwo-Olu declares 3-day mourning, cancels official engagement. Let's look at the top stories right there. Federal government, telecom firms disagree over proposed cost of 5G spectrum. Government officials, Esther codes, others gulp $3.9 billion in 1 year. And that's a report saying that just under the picture of the day there, we see Soludo Uba Ozigbo orders sign accord. IPOB cancels sit at home. EFCC releases Obi Cubana after 3-day grilling on money laundering, tax fraud. That can be found on page 12. And then let's see this story on page 4 and 5 of the Punch. Police killed 3 during clash with Lagos tricycle operators over 100 naira. Of course, we've been talking about, of course, the stories that have happened in the past say 2 months, even the commemoration of the 20th of October 2020 NSAS protest. Of course, we're talking about police brutality, and youths came out to protest in large numbers. And now we're seeing something again. The Nigerian police killing 3 during clash with Lagos tricycle operators, and of course, it's over 100 now. What is your take on this story?
It is still sad that we are still, seeing this thing, manifesting on our street, and it is so pathetic. So this still tells us that there is still a lot of things we need to do in terms of recruiting police personnel or security personnel, so to say, because most of these, there are a lot of things, that contribute to this menace. So firstly is the identity, the kind or the person of those people we call the personnel, and the kind of training they're getting. Because if a crisis happens just because of 100 naira, whatever the case may be, as long as it is not a kind of situation whereby people are carrying weapons and all of that, so you are not liable to be firing at them
when there is no defense or attack or anything.
Yes. So this still tells us that there is still a long way to go for us as a nation in terms of money. In terms of curbing this menace. So I think a government needs to the stakeholders in that sector still need to do more than what they say they want to do, so that everybody no matter where you are, no matter what happens, at least you can feel safe, and you can expect a kind of approach, a good approach from security personnel to whatever happens.
All right, let's move over to this day newspaper. Of course, the banner headline there is Abdulsalami, party's candidates must accept outcome of Anambra poll once credible, free. On the top right there, we see U.S. Special Envoy arrives Ethiopia as America scrambles to avert bloodshed in Addis Ababa. That can be found on page 42. And then under the picture of the day here, we see candidates commit to peace on election day. NBA vows not to relent until perpetrators of siege on Justice Odili's house are punished. That can be found on page 6 of this day newspaper. And then on the very top there, Ikoyi building collapse. Sanwo-Olu declares 3 days of mourning in Lagos. Flags to fly at half-mast. Inaugurates tribunal. Death toll rises to 38. Developers' body found. Emergency teams ramp up recovery operation. Then we see something on our telecommunication. MTN Group to sell 575 million shares in public offer. Announces completion of 90 billion naira Series 2 10-year fixed rate bond. And that can be found on page 42 of this day newspaper. You can get all of these stories on each of the newspapers we've read out to you, and of course other stories. Just stay updated on our website, that is www.tostvnetwork.com. Also, don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms, that is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at TOSTV Network, and of course like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Thank you so much for joining us on Nigeria Now this time. Of course, I remain merciful Ajinamo. See you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.